Hi, welcome to James Miller Lifeology, where you learn to simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. My name is James Miller. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and a composer. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Let's get started. I wanted to take just a quick moment to thank you all who continually support and listen to James Miller Lifeology. I have been so blessed and honored by your continual support. I wanted to make sure that you don't miss out on anything exciting that's happening over here. So make sure you sign up for my free newsletter at jamesmillerlifeology.com. I have a great show for you today. I'm going to help you manage your personal time. I'll also be interviewing Phil Newton, who helps the overworked, underpaid person find their specific niche and helps them discover how to work smarter, not harder. For more information about Phil, please visit unHustled.com/James Miller Lifeology. That's unHustled.com/James Miller Lifeology. I have some exciting news. Did you know that I'm on the radio 3 times a week? You may hear me on the same station on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m., Fridays at 9:30 a.m., and Saturdays at 12:30 p.m. You may also hear me anytime on iHeartRadio as well as on all the other major podcasting platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and many others. Simply search for the show name, James Miller Lifeology. Are you struggling today to find your purpose? Has mediocrity set in and you can't imagine doing the same thing for the rest of your life? Are your relationships struggling or you aren't sure how to make long-lasting changes in your life? Then today, contact me, James Miller. I will help you recognize the areas in your life that are going really well, and then we'll look at the areas in which you are struggling. We will create actionable solutions to help you create long-lasting changes in your life. You don't have to do this alone. Go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, and click on the page, Work with James. Fill out the form, and it will be sent directly to me. Don't let another day go by without finding your way. Your change can start today. Once again, go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, and click on the page, Work with James. Fill out that form to get started today. Managing your time. We've all heard of how we can be more efficient and effective with our time by many experts. But what I really wanted to focus on today was just simply learning how to do that in your personal life. I remember when I was younger, I loved to read, and one time I was reading this book, and it took forever for me to read. Every time I'd pick it up, it felt like a chore, and I was reading, and finally, I asked myself, James, why are you reading this? And it never dawned on me that I did not have to finish this book. I know it sounds silly, but it was a huge epiphany for me, and that really started to shape how I spend my time. In everything you do, it's important to realize if you are putting your friends' needs or coworkers' needs above your own needs, unfortunately, that may be disproportionate or that may be unbalanced. And what I mean by that is this. Of course, we always want to help people and be benevolent and do what we can to encourage and support our friends. But if you're asked to do something and the thought of doing it invokes a feeling of dread, more than likely, it's probably not something that you should do. Because remember, everything we do, we want to enjoy it. Now, it doesn't mean that everything in our life is going to go 100% well, but if we have the choice to do something, it's important for you, just like me when I discovered I didn't have to read that book. You get to determine if you're going to do something or not. I recently had a situation where there was a holiday here, and a whole bunch of us were going to go out and enjoy the holiday. But unfortunately, many things happened, and what was supposed to happen at one time didn't actually happen for another 4 hours. And I'm the type of person that I'm very organized. And so if something changes, I will then default to what I want to do that makes me happy. So 4 hours later, I get messages, James, come on out. But I was enjoying my evening, sitting on my patio with my dog, reading a book and a glass of wine, overlooking the ocean. That was very peaceful for me. So the thought of me getting ready, going out in the town where I may or may not enjoy it, I decided to decline that. And the reason why I'm telling you that is this. In everything we're doing, if we're feeling a certain level of enjoyment or contentment, why stop that to try and seek something that we may not be able to recreate that emotion we're experiencing? Now, there's a difference if you've made a commitment, I get that. But in everything you do, when you plan, you want to be more mindful about it. If somebody asks you to do something and once again, you feel dread or you don't want to do it or you feel obligated to do it, it's really important for you to reconsider, should you do it or not? And one of the ways to do that is if you're asked to do something is just simply say, thank you for inviting me. Let me get back with you about that. Or let me check my calendar. Or I'll let you know later on in the week. Those types of buffer statements give you time to really say, is this something I want to do or not? Because remember, if you don't feel good about it in the moment, more than likely it's your gut or your instinct saying, this is not something I really want to invest my time in. So I really want to give you permission that it's okay to tell your friends, to tell your coworkers, to tell sometimes even your family members, I don't want to do that. Because when you're able to do that more often, you're going to realize that you have so much more free time to truly enjoy the things that matter to you. because you get to enjoy the things that you want to do, not the obligations that other people put on you. So today, think about that. If you've been asked to do something you don't want to do, if it's possible to get out of it, then get out of it. But the reality is you don't have to do something you don't want to do because your time and your emotions are yours. Did you know I have a YouTube channel? That's actually how Lifeology started. I have well over 155 episodes that I've created specifically for you. I do know that many people struggle with listening to a full 30-minute show. So these episodes are about 3 minutes long. Each episode will give you a practical tool or technique that you can practice daily to help you simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. Simply go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, or go to YouTube and search for my name, James Miller Lifeology. My guest today is Phil Newton, who takes the overworked, underpaid person and helps them to move to a stage of being unhustled. Phil works with clients to free up their time, focus their offer, find their most fabulous clients, and facilitate a world-class experience. In essence, he helps people earn more while working less. Welcome to my show, Phil.
James, fabulous to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, from where are you calling today?
I'm from the UK, if you can't tell from my slight accent.
Just a little bit of an accent there.
Everyone can kind of usually recognize it because it's Liverpool in the UK, so there's that Beatles theme
yes.
going on there. So everyone says it's like on the tip of your tongue with the kind of recognizing it, but not recognizing it.
So I can't wait to talk about this. So you help people essentially work smarter, not harder. Now for you, that wasn't always the case though. Give us a little bit of your origin story of how you kind of had this epiphany of, oh my gosh, I'm working too much.
Well, to be fair, I mean, we could jump in at various places, but I could give you the sub story version if you want that one. Essentially, like most people, I was brought up thinking that if you or being taught that if you work hard, and usually that's associated with long hours. That's usually what people interpret it as. If you work hard and you just concentrate on, one or two things, you'll get good at them and you'll see some measure of success. However you measure success, you will get it. And that's the story that we're sold from a very, very early age. And like most people, I bought into that. So what eventually happened was, the backstory beyond that is that I was on and off ill for many years. Didn't know what it was, but that came to a pinnacle in my early 20s where I was eventually diagnosed after a very serious flare-up of Crohn's disease. So that put me in hospital, and you realize something's got to change. I had a lot of thinking time. I had a priest stand over me and offer me the last rites. It was,
oh my gosh, it was that severe. Oh my goodness.
It was, I didn't really appreciate how severe it was until the priest came in. It was a knock on the door.
I have more work to do. I can't be here. I gotta go.
I had nothing else to do. Come right in. No, to be fair, that was actually quite the pivotal moment for me. The mindset shift of, do I want to do what I've always done type of experience, or have I got to find a better way? And I was probably like most people, wanting something better, not really sure what it was, but I knew that I had to do it myself and that I was only responsible for myself and my own actions. And that kind of, severity of having the priest come in, that was really the moment when I said, okay, well, it's better to have tried and failed than to have never tried at all. And that
exactly.
weird way was the thing that kept going through my mind. Because up to that point, again, probably like most people, you try and get the job and work the long hard and do the career ladder thing. And I thought, well, why don't I just skip the career ladder and jump straight to the top of my own ladder and do it that way?
Exactly. And that's a great thing about, I think, many people when they have that epiphany is if they're feeling like they're not being fulfilled perhaps in their current job, that's often where the entrepreneurial spirit will be birthed, because they're like, oh my gosh, something has to change. And I'm sorry that was that pivotal for you to recognize that. But I do think that's something that everybody should realize that, for one, if we always ask the question, there's got to be more to life. I can't imagine doing the same thing I'm doing over and over again. That's really a form of mediocrity. And so I think when anybody can ask that question from the most dire time to be on the deathbed to just that simple question on a daily basis, that really means that there's something greater. And if they're not able to find that in their current position, maybe that's the entrepreneurial spirit attempting to be birthed.
Absolutely. I mean, I think thinking back on it, because I appreciate not everyone's going to have such a severe life-changing moment. But looking back on it, to try and recognize perhaps the signs in your own life, I was always looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I was looking for something. And you have that kind of curiosity to kind of, pull back curtains and turn over stones, and whatever it is that you're looking for, there's that something of wanting more. And that's what I was looking for. And I'd always wanted to start my own business, and I'd already kind of done things on and off over the years anyway. But it was just that was I've got to go all in. And just to kind of put the cherry on top of a really bad cake, a really bad plot, my then employer actually came in, as I was near to being released and getting on the road to recovery. He came in and said, with papers, and said, here's a paycheck. Here's your P45 here in the UK. I don't know what the equivalent is locally, but it's basically fired me on my deathbed.
Are you serious? That's really cool.
When you get better, I'll never forget this word. When you get better, there is no job for you. So it was like back to
wow.
I couldn't even quit because I couldn't go back to work anyway because the condition I had, I was housebound for a few years afterwards anyway. So I couldn't work even if I wanted, but I didn't even get the opportunity to quit.
Oh my gosh! I'm obviously not about this person, but I mean that's quite. It was quite
extreme, yeah. But I think we've all been fired, yeah. But that was the most dramatic one.
Yes. Oh my God! I'm so sorry.
You might as well do it in style. Is what I said.
Exactly. So that's a memorable moment.
Yeah, I mean that was the moments. But that was when it was the internet really to save it. But in my case, tiredness, fatigue. The really quick version is that the Crohn's disease, because of my personal situation, while it's thankfully mild now that of many years later of full recovery, I've got scarring in my intestine, which gives me permanent mild symptoms, tiredness, fatigue, nausea, and all the rest of it. So that's part of the symptoms that I have on a daily basis. So that means that I can't do the traditional, even just the 9 to 5. I can't do the grind. I can't do the hustle. And that's where the kind of the unhustled comes from. How can I get the most out of what I'm doing with the least amount of time? And that really is the philosophy that kind of took me down the pathway of how I do my business. It's because I can't do, even if I wanted to work 15 hours a day, so many people, it's don't get me wrong, some people really enjoy doing the 15, call them workaholics if you want, but I want more than that. I don't want to be sat in front of the computer all day. I don't want to be.
What's your quality of life? You want something greater than that. Sure.
Some people might call that balance, work-life balance. I'm not sure that exists in the literal sense, but you've got to have somewhere to exit from, somewhere to go to and enjoy life, however you want to enjoy life. I like reading. I like going for coffees, long walks, spending time outside because I know what being a prisoner in my own house looks like.
Yes.
It's not pleasant. So
that's one of the stories, specifically how Lifeology was birthed was I had a really successful practice in the Washington, D.C. area. And I was like, okay, I'm at the pinnacle of my career. I'm really bored, not bored than doing it, but there's got to be something more.
Yeah.
So here I am. I currently am talking to you overlooking the ocean in Palm Beach. And I love it. And I just literally got done back from being at the gym. I ran back real fast and I'm on the radio show with you. So I'm the same way. I'm able to set my agenda and my life, depending on the quality of life that I'm looking for. So the people listening as well, Phil and I are no different. You can do the same exact thing. It's going to come with perhaps working with Phil or helping, just kind of narrowing it down to what makes sense for you and really looking at what's the quality of life you're looking for and creating different metrics, because sometimes people get too myopic, or in other words, too focused on it's finances, which is huge. Don't get me wrong. But we also forget that ability to set your own agenda, that ability to take a vacation when you want to take it, to not have to be at perhaps at a job from 9 to 5, so there's many ways in which to do that, but you really have to figure out what makes sense for you. And like you said, initially kind of go against what maybe society or culture has always said, that you have to work for someone else or do a 9 to 5.
I mean, there's more. I mean, when people talk about wealth, I mean, what is wealth? I don't mean like you raised an interesting point. It's not just about the finances. I've got a wealth of freedom. I can literally do whatever I want within reason, and as long as I don't hurt anyone and do the usual stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to suggest weird stuff, but I can. Like today's a great example for me. I wasn't feeling great. I was actually feeling horrible. The start of my day was awful, and I've not felt that way for a while. And I had the choice and the luxury of being able to go, you know what, I think I'll just cancel everything this morning, because I've got that choice. I get to dictate that. And you can, I mean, whether you're working for someone or you're doing it for yourself, you get to choose that. And I think that's something that most people forget about. We are 100% responsible for the things that we get to choose in life. You have to work a 15-hour day. If someone else is suggesting or demanding that you do that, if you're working for someone, then to be fair, you don't have to do it. you can make a conscious choice. And I think everyone should have that realization that you get to choose what you want to do. And if you don't like doing something, you can literally stop. And saying no is a really healthy thing to do
Oh my gosh,
in any
yes.
situation. And that's one of the first things that I often tell people, is just start saying no. You've got to be selfish. It's perhaps an extreme way of describing it, but you've got to be a little bit selfish and just start saying no to those things that, do I really want to be doing this?
Well, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Exactly. I mean, it's a great illustration. Yeah. Because I think having more free time is fabulous. And again, if you imagine a piece of paper, for example, put it landscape, we're going to draw 2 lines down it, so we end up with 3 columns. And this is the process that I followed, and I continued to do this until eventually I went from the one extreme of doing all the hours that is available to me to doing anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes a day. That's kind of like my work day.
Perfect.
And this process is what got me there with work, but you can also apply it in any part of your life as well. And write a list of all the things that you love. Really simple. What's from a work point of view, all the things that get you up in the morning, the reason why you started business or do the thing that you do, the thing that you're passionate about, you do that. That's all the love column, everything that you're passionate about. And in the middle column, you might be writing the things that I've got to do them, but they don't really set me on fire. But they're kind of pivotal to facilitating the things that you love in the first place. And then that last column is all the things that you're doing that you hate doing.
But, that's gonna be a long list.
Yeah, I mean that's a big list for most people. But it's also not productive. Are they contributing to happiness even? Do they make you happy? No. Why are you doing them? Are they contributing to the business? Do you have to be tweeting 500 times a day? There's certain hustle and grind type business leaders that really focus on hustle, grind, and tweet 10,000 times a day. If you enjoy doing that, then it's not going to be in the hate column.
Yeah, exactly.
If you love doing it, I'm not saying don't do it, but just separate those things out. There's a good chance then that you can just draw a line through all the things that you hate and stop doing them. Because when I did that, I felt such a relief of all the things that I was supposed to be doing. And you catch yourself doing it because you go through cycles of doing another thing and adding more to the workday, the workload. And I found myself going back into the more hours cycle, which I'm always trying to reduce. And it was I was tweeting, I was YouTubing, I was Facebooking, and doing all the things that people are suggesting that you do to generate new business and put content out and do this and do that. I just drew a line through them, and what happened was the business carried on growing. What a surprise.
Wait a minute.
What a surprise.
That's right.
But it's just a practical illustration. But you can do that with your life. I mean, another practical way of thinking about it is, should you be doing minimum wage activities if they're not contributing to the business? Because all it's doing is taking up time. So if you can just draw a line through them, then at its most basic, if we've got an even division of time, if we're doing, God forbid, a 60-hour work week, you're doing 20 hours on things you love, 20 hours to things that you've got to do but would rather not be doing, and 20 hours on the things that you hate. The reality is you're probably spending twice as much time doing the things that you hate because you hate them. But just to keep it simple, if you cut the things that you hate out of your life, people, things, items. Again, it sounds really harsh when you say it that way, but you've got to put yourself and your happiness first, free up your time, because then that means that you can focus on those things that you love more, both in life and business. And then you can start working on reducing the things that, hey, I've got to do the accounting, I've got to do the bookkeeping, but maybe I hire an intern or get an intern in or get an accounting student and show them how I want it done. And then you can free up that task and you can get this little standard operating procedure for the things that you're doing that you need to free yourself up from. And then this takes some time, as you can probably gather. I'm trying to give you the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But what you end up with a couple of weeks, couple of months down the line, you've got rid of things that you hate. You've got standard operating procedures for all the things that you've got to do that are necessary for the business. And you can start to hand those over one at a time to an intern, a hired employee, a part-time employee. There's people all around the world that will do part-time jobs. You can get someone who's more skilled at you than doing it, and then that's going to
exactly. I mean, who may even enjoy it too.
But that's going to free you up to just focus on the things that you love, and you can do more of that. Or suddenly you've got probably 40 hours in your week free, and you've now down to a 20-hour work week. Suddenly, that seemed like a great life in my book.
Yeah, well, it's just the whole concept of just working smarter, not harder. I know I said it earlier, but it's true. I mean, One of the things I like to do as well is I look at all the different things that I'm doing, and I will say, okay, well, this is technically perhaps what my quote hourly rate is here, or what the service that I provide. And then what I'll do is I will add all those things up together, and I'll average out whatever that may be, which comes to what I call an effective rate. I'm effectively my hourly rate, if you want to think of it that way. And then if I'm looking at these things, I'm like, wait a minute, if I'm not quote getting paid for that, I just paid myself that, and I just lost that money.
Yeah.
So how do I rethink that? So everything I do, it's generating money, and that goes back with my time as well. All those different types of things. If I'm quote wasting time, like you said, the things that I don't like to do, well, I'm really just potentially lost that quote effective hourly rate when I could have perhaps regenerated that or generated that, or just do something that I enjoy, which is my reward to myself, so that I don't have to worry about those other things. I love the fact that you can hire these people, or even an intern. In fact, I'm looking for an intern right now, people. So if anyone listening right now, you can reach out to me.
Dial it.
Yeah, exactly. To do all the things that I don't want to do. So that's great. That's great.
But that task that you hate doing, that's somebody else's. That's in somebody else's love column. That's
exactly
the weird thing about it. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean no one else doesn't love it. So
I know, it's just so funny.
But it's just, but we just, I mean, if you just free up those things, I mean, I've got to admit, is this going to make me happy? That might be another way of perhaps viewing it. I mean, just tweeting 20 times a day, 50 times a day, does that make me happy? No. Well, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
All right, it might help with the business in some way or whatever, but just stop doing it. And I think if you put happiness first, is it going to contribute to the thing that you're doing in business or in life? Just do the things that really inspire you and love you. And this is what we said earlier, isn't it, James? Do the things that you enjoy doing, that you love doing, and we get to choose all of those things freely. We don't have to do the things that we don't want to do, but for whatever reason, we get tied into doing them.
We just have a couple of minutes, but how did you get to the point of only working just for 1 hour? I mean, you said all these different things that you're doing, but how did you literally get down to 60 minutes, 90 minutes a day? How did you do that?
It was that. I appreciate not everyone might be able to do that. Most of what I do is digital. So the primary business that I have is in financial trading, first of all. Secondary to that is to teach people how I do that, which is where the unHustled brand comes from it. But essentially, I do courses, newsletters, financial trading. So it's, just following my own advice. I literally did that, from the
awesome.
The coaching and consulting side. It was, how do I had very large success very quickly. I had hundreds of customers making demands on my time. So it was, how can I free up my time? I followed this process. So part of what I did was, okay, well, how can I get rid of the people who are taking up all my time? They're, from that perspective, they were less desirable clients because they were very time intensive to do the same thing. And how can I find more of the people who get what I'm trying to do and trying to teach them? And how can I attract more of those? So for me, it wasn't necessarily a case of, I suppose niching down might be an example of this, really fine tune who you want to work with, and then fine tune exactly what you're going to do. Really get more specific with what you're doing so that we become not just a specialist, but a specialist inside a speciality that's also inside speciality. You really get laser focused. Then, but if you can't figure that out, because not everyone's sure about how they go about that. The route that I took to get there was, who do I not want to work with? What don't I want to do?
I like that.
Get rid of the things that I hate doing. And this is what I was talking about earlier. It was, what's going to make me happy? Is this thing that I'm doing making me happy? No, well, stop doing it. These customers.
You're right. It's just as simple as that.
It literally was. And when I made that decision, the pressure just came off my shoulders, that metaphorical pressure that we all experience from time to time. It just lifted. So, well, I don't like working with these customers, so I stopped working with them. But I think it's also worth saying, don't be a jerk about it. Find them somewhere else. Because those people that you don't want to work with, they're someone else's grade 1 perfect ideal client. I would crawl over broken glass to work with them. So if you can find, say, hey, look, it's not working out, and go and find them somewhere else to work with. And that was taking my own advice. That was how I went from the kind of the 9 to 5 and struggling to do it because of the health reasons. And then it's like, free up the time. And I just kept whittling it down. What is the one thing that is really driving the business from a lead generation point of view? And what's the one thing that's really driving the core of my business? So for me, it was getting and producing a subscription-based model that allows me to generate sell it once and get paid several months later. And I've got clients that have been with me for years who keep getting the thing. So that's part of that business model. And you can apply that to pretty much most businesses. There's usually some subscription type of elements that we can find in most businesses, because that creates cash flow. When you've got cash flow, then you can start to hire people in to do the things, the expert things even, that frees up more and more of your time. So, in my case, I didn't really need to hire, and I just kept doing that process because I wanted more free time. And because I got that free time, I was then able to essentially go and care for parents for the last 5 years of their life.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great.
A big step that in the motivation behind getting people their free time is because if I could wish something for everyone, it would be just to spend time with the loved ones, because I had 5 wonderful years in my parents before they both passed away. They passed away very close together, but I was able to go and care for them, and it wasn't a chore. It was something that I wanted to do. I had the time and the means to go and do it, and that was an absolute treasure to have the luxury of being able to do that. And if I could wish that on someone, so that they could free their time and have that experience that I had. But if you could fast track someone to free up their time, really focus on the business that's putting money in the coffers and generate consistent revenues, then you've got the time to spend doing the things that you love doing.
Well, Phil Noonan, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on my show today. If my listeners want to find out more information about you, work with you, and just really follow you on social media, where would they find this information online?
Well, they can, I've prepared a special page for them, James. We can go to unHustled.com/James Miller Lifeology. It's a bit of a mouthful, but if we go to unHustled, so it's like hustle, but with an un on the front and a D on the end. unHustled.com/James Miller Lifeology. We've got some goodies about some of the things that we've talked about. There's a little framework that will help guide people through what we've talked about today.
Wonderful.
And if they want to contact me, then by all means, I'm a pretty open person. They can use the contact button there, or they can send me an email if they want at phil@unhustled.com if they'd like to communicate directly.
Excellent. Well, Phil, thank you so much for your wisdom. I really appreciated having you being a guest on my show today.
Well, thanks for letting me talk for so long.
I love it. Thanks so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure, James. Thanks very much.
I also want to thank you, the listener, for tuning in today. Please subscribe to this radio show through whichever portal you joined with us today, or please go to my website where you may sign up for my free newsletter, watch my YouTube episodes, read the articles I've written specifically for you, or you may enroll in the Lifeology Academy, where you can take self-directed courses which will help you simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. If you'd like to personally work with me, be a guest on, or advertise on this show, simply visit jamesmillerlifeology.com. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms under the name James Miller Lifeology, except for Twitter, which is James M. Lifeology. Once again, thank you so much for your support, and I'll talk to you soon.
AM/FM 247, the best in talk and music all day and every day.